In the previous videos, we talked about how GitHub is a collaborative environment designed to allow different people to work on a project together. So how do we go about actually doing that? If we look in the drop-down box, we can't actually add projects from other people. We can add projects that we've created, and we can clone projects that we've created in the past, but we don't have an option to actually add projects by other people. Well, first off, the terminology that we use to copy another person's project is to fork the project. Forking projects typically involves selecting projects that you want to actually fork, and then selecting the fork option on GitHub. This will create a copy of the project on your account, which you can then edit as you wish. And then as you were able to actually merge branches, you were able to then create a pull request, which is then sent to the original author of the project, and then they can decide whether they want to include it or not. So you can see here that there are no pull requests for this project. So let's walk through the process of forking a project, making changes to it, and then creating the pull request, although we're not actually going to send the pull request. So if we navigate to another person's project, for example the Polymer project right here, we can fork this, which will create a copy of this entire repository in our user account, which we can then go ahead and edit. So it's simply a matter of clicking fork, and as you can see it will take a few seconds to copy all of the code across. Once that's done, it will redirect us to stretch_project/Polymer, which is our user account /Polymer. And this is every single contribution to the Polymer project up until the point that we created our fork. If there are updates to the main Polymer project after the point that we've created our fork, they will not be automatically reflected in our version. That's for us to manage. If we go across to our GitHub repository, however, we can now go ahead and search for Polymer, which we can then clone to our local machine, which will obviously download all of those files which have been created previously. And as we can see every single contribution to the project so far, and these are obviously not made by ourselves, these are made by other people. So let's imagine that we wanted to change the content of this banner.txt. And we wanted to add something else here. It doesn't need to be a change to the banner.txt, we could add a new function or update some existing functionality, but the point is that once we made some change, that will be reflected in our uncommitted changes as it was before. We can then obviously commit this onto our local copy of the Polymer project. Which we can go ahead and push up onto the GitHub server. If we go back across to GitHub, we can see that this change will have taken place. And if we actually look at the commit history, we can see our change. If we really wanted to, we could then create a pull request, which would send this up to the original author, i.e. the actual Polymer project. So we would click create pull request, and we would obviously need to select which branches we wanted to merge. In this case, we're not going to go ahead with this process, we're going to cancel out, because we don't actually want to commit this file. But the entire process is very automated, and as soon as we wanted to commit that pull request, the author of the Polymer project would then be able to make a decision as to whether they wanted to accept our pull request or not, which in this case it's not a very useful commit, so they would probably reject it. In the next video we're going to look at how we can use issues to keep track of what we're going to be doing in terms of adding new functionality through an issue-driven development cycle, as well as using it to monitor and maintain bugs. which we can then use the commit system to automatically close. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that.